You're listening to the Totally Indian Football Show by Humans of Indian Football.
Well, there's a lot that's happened over the, I think, past 1 week since the episode 2 was out and that the episode 3 is coming. Well, definitely one of it is that ISL has started. We saw some interesting matches, not all of them, but there was some dud as well as some great games. And we look forward to many more. And the other thing that probably upset the whole world of football was the passing away of Diego Maradona. And yeah, it left everyone in shock. But he did undergo a surgery, and then post that he was recovering, but he suffered and died with a heart attack. So definitely a big loss for the world of football. A genius on the pitch, and yeah, I mean a celebrated icon. Uh, a lot to look forward to, but as they say, the show must go on. And so, welcome to the episode number 3 of the Totally Indian Football Show. I'm your host Siju, and today we have a very smaller cast, and we have, but nonetheless, two prime from our 4 expert panels. We have Sandeep. Welcome to the show, Sandeep.
Hi, glad to be here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Great. Welcome to the show, Arko.
Thanks, Siju. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back talking football. Though amidst a lot of things that's happened, we are still here bringing you episodes, and that's what it is, right? Well, the opening week saw a lot of games and saw a lot of. It also included the big derby. Just for our listeners, we are recording this on a Saturday, and we are fresh off from the derby that happened on Friday night. So probably we'll kickstart with that without wasting much time. Let's talk about it. The whole hype that ISL created, that the first ever derby in ISL. Well, one thing that they can celebrate is that they had a legend derby after all. A Kolkata derby that was played in Goa. A lot was different in the sense that we saw probably an 80K team that we are used to seeing under Habas, now a Mohun Bagan side because of the merger, and then the East Bengal side under Robbie Fowler. The Kolkata Derby was played in Goa with no fans, so all of that and much more. The match was interesting as we expected. Sandeep, coming to you first, your thoughts on the Derby, first of the season.
It was okay. I mean, pretty much what we expected in terms of performances and stuff. Much better than I thought they would look. But again, 80K is just too well defensively drilled, too well organized. Everything about them is professional, as much as you can say. And I don't think 80K played a great style of football, but I don't think they ever play that kind of football. They play very utilitarian, defensive, counter-attacking ones. Ideal personnel to do all that, and expected result, I would say.
Arko, your thoughts on the big match that was all overhyped, I must say.
I feel it was the match lived up to my expectations. I feel, like I said in the previous pod, East Bengal would be unpredictable because of foreigners, and I think we're seeing glimpses of that quality. Yesterday we saw Magoma, who was an absolute beast. We saw Pilkington, who also did really well in patches. What we're seeing is that they've had the shortest preseason of all, so it's obviously been tough integrating everybody into the setup at such short notice, and especially because the squad has completely been revamped since last season. Not a single foreign player retained. We're looking at entirely new set of foreigners. You look at new coach, you look at new staff. So in that aspect, I think East Bengal did well. Of course, 80K Mohun Bagan played their usual style. There wasn't much to speak about the style yesterday, because we've been seeing this for some time now. They like to play without the ball. They like to go press ahead on the counter. They like to attack the right side through Prabir, Krishna, and Williams. We've seen that in the past also. So I mean, expected from the points of 80 kmp, but I feel East Bengal fans have a lot to be hopeful about, especially if the foreigners can hit top stride.
Yeah, Sandeep, you actually touched upon this point that you mentioned, and this was kind of the conversation over Twitter after the game as well. That was, the whole thing of Antonio Habas that they're never a side that's dominating the entire match, but they somehow get those goals and they end up on the winning side. So, what's that all about? What is that? What is it that's sticking for the Habas side?
For them, ATK is very, very well coached because defensively their positioning is great, and Habas is also very astute. Like for example, yesterday he used Jayesh Rane in a position that generally you go for Pranoy Haldar in such games where you want to defend or things like that. But what Jayesh gives you is a vertical advancement with the ball, and that is not something that Pranoy probably won't give you. And the first goal came from Jayesh running with the ball and then eventually moving it to Roy Krishna. And what they also have in Roy Krishna and even David Williams is people who can make an opportunity out of nothing. Not many strikers in India have the ability to deal with absolutely no chances most of the time and then to create one out of nothing. Like even against Kerala, that goal was more or less created by Roy Krishna himself. Sure, the Kerala defense helped, but he was there. He's the one who started that move and finished that move. And yesterday also, that shot, he just, I didn't think it would go in, but it just hit so hard that even the goalkeeper couldn't get to it. So that's their thing. And generally, when you see a team play against Kolkata, ATK, Mohan Bagan, the interesting thing is they start because they allow you, they don't press you high and stuff. They allow you to come into their half, and so you sort of slowly get into the game. And then as the game goes on, you realize that that team is just sort of lost of ideas. They can't find the pockets of space. They can't dribble past people. They're double teamed on the flanks. In the center, they are very sorted. Play three at the back. So they slowly, it's like they're strangling them by not really touching them. And then in one counter attack, it's gone. It's full other side. Krishna's fast, like his Orko said. Their right side is very strong. Susa is not there, but Subhashish is good going forward. So they're always going to score goals and they're probably not going to concede many. So I really like. I'm a big fan of defensive football, so I really like the way they play. But what makes me wonder is Roy Krishna scored this many goals for a team that doesn't play attacking football as such. Imagine what he can do if he was playing in a team that was always going to attack. That's something that I was wondering yesterday.
Yeah, it's interesting that you also touched upon Susaraj not being available and he's out for almost 6 months, and that looks like the entire tournament we won't be seeing. Sandeep, just staying with you, your thoughts on how, I don't know, the team is, ATK looks like a set team with or without him, but we would be missing seeing him in action, and he's a great player. We've already seen that. So, how big a miss is this for Susaraj?
Any other club, I would say a major major miss in that they have good cover. Subhashish has really improved on his defensive side. Maybe not his attacking side as he used to be when he was in BFC. He's improved his defensive side. So he is going to give them that outlet. And anyway, Prabir is so good overlapping. Most of their attacks do come from the right side. And look, Susai was a great player. He was a winger. He has always been someone who was never managed to find a settled space spot in the national team, but was good enough to do so. And what's happened in the last year is he has managed to pick up. And I was talking to a coach about this. The reason why we liked him and not a lot of coaches picked him for the national team is he didn't do defensive work. And Habas putting him as a wing back, which is mostly to ensure that Prabir is also incorporated into that team in the beginning, has made sure that he is very good defensively as well. And now, so I thought this was going to be the season where Susai just, I can't say burst into the scene, he had already burst before. Let's say reburst into the scene and made a big name for himself because he's that talented. And it's a nice story also, no, to come from nowhere to play in the Chennai league and then come to the Chennai city and then to the bigger stage. It's a nice story. And yeah, very, very sad for him. Good guy also.
Arko, your thoughts on we missing Susaraj? On the pitch, and it's a big blow for him personally. Like just like Sandeep mentioned, that it could probably not be a big blow for the team that's 80K, but a big blow personally for him.
Well, I know for a fact that when you go to Indian clubs, left wing back, right wing back, left back, right back are the possibly the safest options, right? For Indians to play in. These are we've seen teams not fret too much over these positions, of course, because more and more you're seeing more and more Indian players play on the wing, so you don't have too much of a danger of going wrong there, right? Essentially, left backs and right backs are always played by localites, so that's I won't say that the team will miss him too much, right? The team will obviously misses attacking impetus from left wing back. For me, Subhashis is more of a defensive, fullback. He's not going to go bomb forward, or cut in like Susa, would do. Uh, he's going to stick to the basics. He's going to give you more defensive solidity. And when they're going forward, essentially they'll become like a four at the back with Subashi the left back, Tiri and Chingan in the middle, and Preetham at right back. So with Prabir bombing forward, of course. But what is interesting to see last year is that both Susai and Prabir essentially started their careers as wingers, right? And that gives them uh, a bigger edge going forward as compared to other traditional wing backs, right? These guys know when to overlap, they know when to cross. So that was a big plus for Habas, right? So um, with Suse out, and with Bose in, right? Uh, I think that's what prompted the Jayesh Rane change also, because then Habas could, dare to be more adventurous on that side of the pitch. You could have somebody in the left, left CM role, going forward, as opposed to when Susai plays, you need a guy to cover for your left wing back. So it's interesting to see, how this affects Habas. I don't think this will affect ATK, a lot. But yeah, I mean, for sure, Susa is a great player. Its story is obviously very, very heartwarming, and obviously in the run up to the 2019 Asian Cup, people kept bombarding, Stephen Constant with the question, why isn't Susa selected? Why isn't Susa selected? So I don't think Stimatch will have that question this time. But nonetheless, I think we'll miss seeing him this season.
Absolutely, it was quite a gutting news. I mean, we were gutted with the news that the opening week and the first match that he played, he had to go out like that. But coming to you, Sandeep, any thoughts? What can we expect going ahead from Robbie Fowler's East Bengal side after the match on Friday?
They actually look very, very well drilled, well organized. They have, like Orko said before, really good foreign players. Like Pilkington, he didn't do much in the first half, but he took over in the second, did a very good job. Their number 16 man, I think, is off the top of my head. I can't remember his name, but that German guy, he was very good in the first half. Second half, he faded a little. They have good defense, both foreigners there. So again, that is a team that depends a lot on their foreigners and how they will kick on. What I want to generally touch on is the Indian contingent, and they have some decent young players yesterday that we saw, but by and large they'll be depending on the senior members. Balwant looked little out of sort. I don't think he had as bad a game as Paul Macefield was making it out to be, but he was okay. He was not great, and then they replaced him with Rafiq, and made me wonder what is going to happen to JJ now, because if he is not able to find a spot even as a substitute striker, I don't know what that says about his future in the team. And unless he's injured or unfit or whatever, all those kind of things, if he's fit and willing, and for Robbie to go to Rafiq instead of JJ as a forward option, it seems a little, I don't know, not great for JJ in that sense. So that's where I would think is going to be difficult for East Bengal but they rely a lot on the foreigners, which is okay only. But if you look at the counterpart in ATK, I think they finished with only 3 foreigners on the field because they took off foreigners and put Indians on, and that's the strength of a team that has been built over the last 2 years. So that makes you realize that just 2 years. There are other teams who've been building for longer, but this is a team just built in 2 years, and they have options in Indians who are coming and replacing foreigners and not really losing much. So, granted, they were trying to shut shop, but still they didn't really lose much in that. So yeah, I think East Bengal, I don't think they'll challenge for the top 4, but they do have a good. They will have a good season. I think 5th or 6th or something.
Yeah, 5th or 6th was what Sayak had predicted in the earlier episode. So probably, yeah, it's a long way to go. Just the beginning for East Bengal's side, and it's too early for us to judge. Just depending on the 2-0 defeat that they had against ATKMB, and just like Sandeep mentioned, ATKMB is a solid team that's been set for the last 2 years. Though their name is different from this season onwards. But let's move on finally from the derby, and we saw some other games throughout the week that started with Kerala Blasters playing ATKMB, and that was a buzz that got into it. I mean, I would say that just like Sayak mentioned, he had predicted it to be probably a rusty draw. It was kind of heading towards that, but ATKMB known to sneak in that goal, and once again Roy Krishna's lead is what took them the 3 points. So, any matches, guys, from both of you? I'll start probably with Arco that you would like to speak about. We had Kerala Blasters taking on ATKMB. We had Northeast and Mumbai, which was definitely my favorite. We had Goa, Bengaluru, my second favorite, and then Odisha, Hyderabad, which was surprisingly really good show from Hyderabad. And then we had Jamshedpur, Chennai, and finally the other two was Goa, Mumbai City, and KBFC Northeast. A lot of games to look at. We won't look at all of them individually, but as I said, Arko, coming to you, games that excited you from the opening week.
I feel there were a couple of games. Obviously, Northeast versus Kerala, I think stood out for me. Very exciting. Again, Noose showing his Noose, if I can call it that. Coming back from a couple of goals down to get a point against a formidable opponent. Kerala, definitely have improved under Kivu Vikona. You saw that. You saw a more cohesive Kerala in the first half against Northeast, but they couldn't get the job done. Obviously, full credit to the coach, and he came out. He used an expletive on in the post match. He said, "I am bleep proud of my of my team." He said that, and you can see the youthful exuberance of the guy. You can see it in his post match interviews. He's quite a character, but he instilled a sense of fight in his team. And you know first up they faced Mumbai City and then Kerala, and they have 4 points on the board. I don't think a lot of people predicted that, right? I did call it before season, so I said, for me the dark horses are Northeast, it's East Bengal, and possibly Hyderabad. So we've seen all three teams get off to a relatively good start, and again East Bengal, just coming back, just touching on the point, just reiterating the point that they had only 2 to 3 weeks of preseason, right? They only assembled in India on 16th, then served a 2-week quarantine. So, East Bengal fans, be hopeful. And apologies that Sandeep called Matty Steenman that German guy. Apologies to Matty Steenman as well. But yeah, coming back to Northeast versus Mumbai.
I said Steenman too. Okay, after that, I was
Yeah,
just not sure.
Matty Steenman. Okay, not that German guy. But yeah, like coming back to Northeast versus Mumbai, what very interesting, because Northeast were very organized against Mumbai, and then against Kerala they went 2-0 down, and then they opened up a bit. In the first match, you saw, okay, there's different organization, but can they get the goals? Then they turned on, the heat in the second half against Kerala, and they had 13 shots. by the end of the night, as opposed to Kerala 6. Right? That really tells you, how the match swung in their favor. And by the end, I think if Kwesi Appai had converted his penalty, Kerala might have been left with 0 points from both two games. Right? So, uh, yeah, do not take Northeast United lightly at all, like this season. And what's interesting to see again is that Northeast have the youngest contingent of foreigners. The average age is below 30. They have, except I think Benjamin Lambert, who's 33, everyone is 30 or younger, right? So they're not relying on one striker like the previous seasons. They're not relying on one Asam Jan. They had Kwesi Apaya who scored, then missed a penalty, but worked really hard throughout the evening. And then you had Idrissa Silla who came in and scored the other goal, right? So multiple approaches, a coach who can change the system, and players who are fit. Kamara again, a lovely game, barring one or two missed passes. A very good game from him. So Dylan Fox again, what a revelation he's proving to be. So definitely Northeast versus Mumbai, and Northeast versus Kerala, and Goa versus with BFC. I think these two were my matches to watch out for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, though Arco did mention in probably going in detail about the Northeast United side, going ahead in the episodes, we will look at this club as a unit and how they've done over the past years. Not so very well, but how do they look in this coming season? So watch out for that, and we'll talk about Gerard and his team in detail in that one of the episodes for sure. Sandeep, coming to you, what was your favorite pick? Are you on the same lines as Arco?
I would pick other games because I liked Chennai versus Jamshedpur a lot because I thought that was a very free-flowing game. Nobody really defended, so that made for a very good, entertaining game. But I was impressed because I was looking at Chennai as a team that can potentially challenge for the title this year because of the foreigners that they've signed and the Indian contingent that they have. And you can see they're sort of different in that they had Isma who plays on the wing. Not many foreigners play on the wing. It's something that we've seen more of this year, to be fair, with Ortiz also playing slightly out wide for Goa. And Orko mentioned this because he said the wing backs or the full backs are generally Indians and generally young Indians. So if you have a foreigner who can, experienced foreigner who can maybe take advantage of that, it's a great advantage for the team. And we saw that with Chennai playing Isma out wide. I think he created Thapa's first goal. And I think we've been looking at people to be the next Sunil Chetri, and we've always looked at it from a striker's point of view. Maybe this time we should look at it from a midfielder. The next generational player is probably Thapa because he has proven time and again that there is no bright lights that he can't handle. He played well in the Asian Cup, scored a goal there, scored again against Thailand also again in another match. Since then, played the biggest games for India. He's played the finals of the ISL, and he's always played well in these things. And now you're finally seeing him, and this coach Laszlo also really wants more numbers from Thapa. And in that game, you saw how many times he advanced with the ball, or he made those runs into the box, late runs, or just outside that penalty area. He's arriving at the right time. So I think that part I was very impressed with that because Laszlo really wants Thapa and Changte to be the two Indian guys who can get the numbers for him. And it looks like both of them are trying really hard. And Thapa has been given responsibility. I think he's the vice captain. So he's been such a young age given responsibility to play in this kind of a role for Chennai. And he is going to deliver, I feel. Because when I spoke to him before the start of the season, he wanted to be stopped being referred to as this young player, emerging player, the next big thing. He wants to be the player now. Like he's young is subjective because he's probably someone who has played the most amount of games at that age, at that level for an Indian player. So he wants to be the main man now. I think we should let him off the hook and not pick him again as the emerging player. Like 2 times he emerged, according to the AIFF. So that was one. Then the other one that caught my attention was Goa's games against both Mumbai and Bengaluru. I think they are a very good team. It's just that the results are not reflecting it. They are a very, very good team. But at some point, they're going to come good and start picking up wins. But that Mumbai game, unfortunate 10-man, they played for more than one full half with 10-man and lost in the last minute with the penalty. They came back, showed some steel against Bengaluru and to score 2 goals. And I think they ended up being the better team than Bengaluru in terms of playing style. And what you notice from this is just a side point I wanted to make. The 2 sides points I wanted to make. One was this year you've seen some Indian players come from the bench and change the game. It generally doesn't happen a lot. And Brandon was a perfect example of the guy who came off the bench and changed the game for Goa. Now, he's not started 2 games. So even when he does start, it's going to be a much better Goa team. And the other guy was Narendra Gehlot. He came on for Peter Hartley, I think, in Jamshedpur when they were already 1 goal or 2 goal down, whichever that was. And he was better than Hartley, I felt. He playing much better. So he improved that team considerably once he came on. So it's just a nice change in dynamic that we have seen. And the other point I wanted to touch is it was Udanta's season this year. And I say this with he has to do well this year, because for years we have said he is the next big thing. When BFC won the league a couple of years ago, after the season was over, and I spoke to Carles, he said the guy with the highest ceiling of potential is Udanta, and he has to realize it. And since winning the title, his performances have only gone down. Now, if you look at the history that he has been in that team for 6-7 years now, he's always been the next big thing. And there were times when he delivered on the promise, like the goal against Myanmar where he created the whole thing, or maybe 1 or 2 instances where he, like I think semi-final against Pune when they won the title. So these kind of things he has done, but he has not done it consistently enough. And last year, when you see what he has done and Carles hooking him and publicly saying that he has not performed well, this year he has to do it. And already he is pushed slightly back because Clayton Silva was playing, I think, on the right wing, and Udanta was little withdrawn. When I asked Carles why, he did say that it's because he was playing as a winger only. It in TV maybe it didn't come across, and he might be right, because you don't see everything on TV, because when you're in the stadium you can see the formation much better. But anyway, it looked to me like he's going to be a lot more defensive this year. But Carles has done this before with Beke, Kabra, Ashik, changing them from different positions to various other things. Even going back to Eugene as well, where during their AFC Cup run, then he was pushed out wide. Well, he was a center midfielder till that time. So he has done this before, some to the betterment, some to the detriment of the player maybe, but he has done it for his team. So Udanta this year, I don't know, whatever position that he might be playing, he really, really has to step it up. And if he doesn't deliver this year, they gave him a 3-year contract on the back of a bad season, that too. At some point, they'll have to make a tough call. Do they keep him on for the money that he's earning, or do they try to move him on when they can still make some money from his transfer? So that's something that they need to really look at, because he's not a young player anymore that we can keep waiting for him to improve. And he had done. I don't know why he went back. I just hope that he picks it up again.
Now the phrase that they say, well, you blink and you may just miss it. That's what the whole match between Chennai and Jamshedpur was. That gave us, we were waiting for that game. That match kept us on toes, and just like and it also ended the whole cry and hue about who will be that Indian goal scorer in this season, and it was Anirudh Thapa, who probably had even less than 60 seconds he scored that goal. I think the way Anirudh Thapa has been performing over the past years, even I agree, and I saw this quote put out by Sandeep of him saying that I think it's enough that we stop calling him the emerging and the emerging. He's out there. You have to see him now, or it'll be like you blink and you're missing it. So probably he deserves, Anirudh Thapa deserves an episode on him. So I think we'll keep that in detail about that. And rightfully, what you mentioned about BFC that are playing on a Saturday night, and probably once this episode is out, the match is already done. So we'll probably see how Udanta performs and how he is. So coming to you, Arko, uh, Sandeep mentioned about Indian players, and there were quite a few young Indian players who caught our attention and were the talking point even on Twitter discussions for football. Some of them, he already mentioned Brandon being that key difference that came in from the bench and played. But we also saw the likes of Romario and Liston Colasso and also Akash Mishra, who, even the coach goes on to say that this guy has a lot of potential. So what are your thoughts on seeing these young Indian players really shining, and what can we expect from them?
Well, interesting. I think Sandeep mentioned that Thapa's emerged twice. He was comparing him to a butterfly. I think that was the connotation that Sandeep was going for. But yeah, like for the purpose of this pod, I shall refer to Brandon by his proper name, Brandona. I think that's what we'll call him. But yeah, I mean, I'm seeing Brandon up close. I've seen him for a year. In training, the guy's just he's superb with his feet. He's too good. When he gets the ball in central positions, he's always trying to push it through. He's always trying to break those lines. And when Goa brought him on, it's like a switch was turned on. He came on and boom, he just changed the game. Right, and that quality to find in the center of midfield is so rare. Is so rare in Indians. That honestly, like one of the most frustrating things that that you see about Indian football is that whoever gets the ball in the middle of the park just has to blast it at goal. Like it's a thing that we see. If you saw the match yesterday, Rana Gharami did it at least thrice, right? I'm not saying Rana can't score goals. Rana did get that one goal for Delhi Dynamos a couple of seasons ago, but it's so important for midfielders to be, Indian midfielder especially to be comfortable on the ball, to know when to pass the ball, right? So when Brandon came on against BFC, what that gave Goa, was one extra option. He could play, he could play Noguera in. Noguera played Angulo in. He played Romario in. Romario again played Angulo in. So that second last pass, right? We usually see a foreigner do it, foreigner distribute to an Indian winger who then, puts in a flat cross or puts in a cross. But seeing Brandon do that was a thing of joy, obviously. Again, coming to Akash Mishra, guy took his chance. Like, he was given a chance. I think their left backs were injured or unavailable. You had Dimple Bhagat, who played last year but was injured. So Mishra was given a chance and he took it. Honestly, he was one of the most promising youngsters on the first night, because the HFC OFC game had a lot of Hyderabad OFC game had a lot of youngsters, right? But still, this guy Akash Mishra was easily the best of them all, right? Because he bombarded forward, he stuck to his job. Even when Nanda threatened to bounce a couple of times, or Diego Mauricio tried to bounce a couple of times, you saw Mishra coming back, defending the danger. There's also because he has a bit of centre back traits also in him, so he read danger. And there was Gaurav Bora also on the other side, who didn't have a great defensive outing, right? So a lot of youngsters in that match, but still Akash Mishra was the one who everyone's focusing on, rightly so, right? So it's very heartening to see these youngsters come. But the thing is that we should stop. What do you say? We should not hype these guys to the sky after one game. What we want to see from them is consistency. You want to see them do it throughout a season. It just can't be this one game and finish, right? Uh, yeah, I'm not going to talk about Thapa anymore, like I said, because Thapa is a national team player, no longer young. I mean, even if he's young by actual terms, he's played 4 years at the highest level, right? I can't really call him young anymore. They've stopped the emerging player award also. So, I mean, there's no basis for me to call him an emerging player anymore. But yeah, like I said, like too many good talents. Next year, 3+1 rule on the way, which means one more Indian on the pitch, which means 11 more Indians across the ISL club get game time, right? So, yeah, uh, it's interesting to see, how many more of these youngsters break out. Speaking of Chennai, I think Sandeep did talk about them. They also have a lot more youngsters in reserve, who haven't really taken to the pitch yet. You saw Rahim, but I think the likes of Abhijit, Aman, the guys who were promoted from the academy, these guys are yet to come, right? Yet to stake their claim. And it's a long season. You'll see a lot more injuries, right? Because there are only very few limited foreigners. There might be the case that a foreigner gets injured, and if it happens after January, you can't even replace him. So an Indian probably will take his place, right? So a lot of these young Indians, if any of them are hearing our podcast, I like to tell them to keep their patience because they will get their chances. It's a long season, right? What my personal wish list is to see some good young centre backs breakthrough because there's a real paucity in that area. That after what happened to Anwar Ali, very unfortunate. We're not really seeing that. Gallot played well, but I think Gallot again has to take his game to the next level this year, right? So apart from Gallot, you didn't see a lot of young Indian centre backs, take to the pitch, right? Sumit Rathi, for example, is on the bench now that Jingan is there, right? So yeah, I mean, pretty pretty good show by the youngsters, but we've got to remember it's week one. If they're not doing it, week on week, then it's back to the drawing board for them.
True that. I think we should also learn as people who follow the game and as fans and as people who work in the industry to not probably put them on a pedestal as of now, just looking at the one game that they've played. But yes, appreciation where it is, I mean credit where it's due. But let's see and let's hope and see that consistency remains and that we see these guys more often on the pitch. Sandeep, you mentioned before we move on to the games that we look forward to. I mean, just like we told our listeners that we are recording this on a Saturday, so it's a Monday release, so we won't be able to look at the weekend fixtures because it doesn't make sense. But we Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday fixtures for sure. But before that, Sandeep, you mentioned Udanta at BFC. Do you see a similar kind of a view probably with Sahal at KBFC? Because the reason I'm asking is Sahal did start in the first game, but he was nowhere in the second match, if I'm not wrong. And what do you see? Does he not fit under Kibu's plan?
It's difficult to say so early in the season, but uh, when last year, after the end of the season, when I spoke to Elko Shatori for a podcast and asked about Sahel, he said he does not, you only see the good things that he does, which is the eye-catching ones, that is like the step over or a cool dribble or a turn. But he doesn't do the rest of the things that midfielder of his position is supposed to do, and defensively and offensively. And often you see with Sahal is you see that there is a pass, and you see that he has seen it as well sometimes because his head is up, but he takes that one extra touch or he delays that pass like half a second. By that time, the striker is offside or the passing lane has been closed off, and you often lose that thing. And you see that mostly, I think, on the national team front because I don't know why. Anyway, I've seen mostly in the national team this thing. So what he needs to do is, no, he is on a big deal, big contract 5 years, all those kinds of things. And Kerala really is trying to market him as the main man. Now he has the potential, like I am Vision and all loves him. And that's a great thing to get from a player of his level, that who loves the way Sahal plays. And Sahal plays a lot that reminds people like myself and probably you also, because we've seen fives and sevens games in Kerala where they are kicking you and everything. And the biggest thing you need is close control and ability to dribble out of tight situations. And Sahal has that in his locker. We've seen it time and again. But what he doesn't have at this moment, or hasn't developed enough, is the awareness in the game to know when to pass, to know when to speed up the game or to slow it down. And he is, I think, what, 22, 23 now? It's about time that he learned it. But unfortunately, in the Indian system, a player who's 23 or 22 in, I'm not even going to go to Europe, in Japan or in South Korea or China, or all these kind of places, they would have played at least 150, 200 games more than Sahal at this time from youth division onwards, because they play 50, 60, 70 games a year, at least 50 games a year, I think, as kids. And we don't do that here in India. So his development is always much slower in India, unless you are some special player and you just pick up and run. So he needs to get that thing out of his head. And maybe Kerala is maybe not the best place for him also, because there is no real continuity. Every year, new coach is coming. Someone wants him to do this. Someone wants him to do something else. Someone wants to play number 10. Most of the teams don't play with a number 10. Kerala has a foreigner who plays in this position. So if you really thought this guy was going to be your, the guy who's going to hold your banner up, would you sign another foreigner to take his place potentially? Now he was not even there in the substitute bench, and I'm not sure if he was injured or what. But it's it's a make or I don't think it's a make or break season for him, because I think Kerala will hold on to him because there is a lot of goodwill towards him from the fans in Kerala and things like that, and he does provide them with there is this always one of the things in India is that we always have this hopefulness that this guy will do it. For a long time we thought, Alvin, come on, Alvin George, you can do this, until he fell. I don't know where he is now, in terms of where he's playing. But for years we looked at him and said, this guy is the best number 10 in India. He never played as a number 10 for the club or country, and slowly he lost his way. So let's hope that Sahal doesn't lose his way, and there is if Kibuna is going to be that guy, give him 2-3 years to play with Kibuna so that he can finally learn something and to play in a certain way, and that helps him. Because what the way Kibuna plays is not too dissimilar from what Stimac wants him to play as well, with possession. And we can debate whether it's a good thing that India tries to control possession while they're playing. Because whenever we have control possession, I don't think we have done much. Most of the times when we've got good result is because we have been sitting back and counter-attacking. So that is a philosophical debate that we can have later. But this guy really, Sahal has to... I don't think he's going to jump that level in one go, but he has to, in the next 2 years or 3 years, really pick up and become this footballer that he potentially can be, and we hope he can be.
Adding on to what you said, right? They gave him a 5-year contract. Like, he's there. He's there for the foreseeable future. He's not going anywhere. They're not going to annul the contract because it's going to take them a lot of money, right? Or any team which wants to transfer him is also probably going to, have to pay a lot of money, because they did this because there was interest in the summer. There were interest from a couple of clubs, I'd let Marcus, do the tweeting on that. But, Sahal is here. The fans love him. The club loves him. With the departure of Jingan, there was a place, for a new sheriff in town. There were only 2 or 3 contenders for that, right? One was Nishu, who's also coming in, on a huge deal, as the leader of the defense, right? There was Sahal. I don't think you can yet call, guys like Prashant leaders, because they've been in and around, but they've been playing, but they haven't made the, same sort of impact. Other Keralites who played for the club, like, Abdul Haku or Prashant, they haven't made the same impact. Rafi is obviously I'm not sure, but I don't think he's there in the squad this year, right? The grand old man of Kerala, Rafi. But yeah, I mean, just adding on to what Sandeep said, Sal has time, but he has to correct the obvious, obvious deficiencies in his game. He has to, if he has to make it as a number 10, because see, Vicuna used Joseba Beshia as a number 10 in Mohun Bagan, right? And so Sahal will have to perform to that level in order for him to justify his place, in as the number 10, right? Because you have Facundo Pereira, you have Chido who played there. So you're going up against all of these guys. So you better be prepared to, stake your claim, as the rightful owner of that number 10 position. Even in the Indian team, right? When you have a Brandon who's so good, that's a very high benchmark for Sahal to, to Sahal to try and displace, right? So Sahal has his benchmarks in front of him. He's had his detractors, he has his supporters. Now all he has to do is he has to perform this season, because I don't think last season was the best by any stretch of the imagination. Played I think 700, 800 minutes, a lot of times off the bench. There was obvious that there was friction between, the coach and him. So yeah, man, like this also, there's a lot of pressure from the fans, obviously, right? This talk of, being like the next IM Vijay and all, it's huge. It's not a easy tag to carry around, right? It's like telling a budding cricketer that, hey, you're the next Sachin, right? And imagine hearing that all day, 24/7, right? It's not easy, right? So I'd say step back, let's see what the guy does this season, and then, maybe take stock of it at the end of the season. Yeah.
Sahal definitely has a lot of time in hand, and we'll wait and watch what he has to offer. But we are falling short in time in this episode number 3. So before we look forward to the two matches that we are going to see on Monday night and Tuesday night fixtures, just a shout out to Sandeep's podcast, that's Injury Time, and you can hear it on the audio platforms like Spotify and Apple, among others. He's gotten on his shows featuring like Anirudh Thapa. You can listen to Elko. You can also have Pradyum, who both of them have dissected the entire season. So you can also have a look at that as well. And to have a plug-in from Humans of Indian Football, we have a Sahal special interview, not with Sahal, but with his father and friend Mohammad Shafi. So you can catch that on the Humans of Indian Football YouTube channel. Now, moving on, we have a Monday night and a Tuesday night fixture to look at. So that's 30th November. That will be today because this show will come out on Monday. We have FC Goa versus Northeast United, and Tuesday we have Mumbai City versus East Bengal. Now, these two quite interesting matches. So, Sandeep, I'll come to you first. FC Goa versus Northeast United. We've had a glimpse of both the teams. What are your expectations from this game?
I think this will be a very interesting game. Very interesting in that it's not really a clash of styles, but it is sort of a clash of styles, and it is against a team who has been playing well and not getting the results, and a team who has been playing well and sort of getting the results. Actually, more than what most people expected out of them historically from Northeast United sides, the way they have started the season, and two young coaches also. Uh, what I'm really looking forward to is to see Apuya. I think he has had a good start to the season, good Indian player. And the thing with Goa is, can they? So from what I heard, right after the game against Mumbai, those players are all really, really fired up because they really wanted to win that game. They thought they deserved to at least draw the game, considering they had 10 people on the field for most time and lost in penalties at the end. So they're really looking forward to putting those wrongs in inverted commas right. So Northeast might just be at the end of that stick. But again, Northeast has shown they've been punching above their weight. I thought they deserved to win the last game, to be completely honest. And I heard some talk about the offside in the second goal. But the way he finished that, I don't think I mean, it's a wrong call, but I think they deserve that kind of a luck in their favor. So that's the game that I'm looking forward to see if Goa can get the result that they've been fighting for, and Northeast can upset the apple cart again. And Mumbai East Bengal, I think it's coming a little too fast for East Bengal. The turnaround time. I don't know how many of them will start. Who started the derby will start this match again. So it'll be interesting. They have people like Eugene in the bench who has a great experience playing big games. So not sure, but I think it's coming too fast for them. But I think they'll still put a very good shift in with the players that they have, especially the foreign players.
Arko, you have FC Goa up against Northeast United, two of the teams that you're very familiar and probably I'm sure you like both of them.
Yeah, difficult for me to, pick a winner in this. Two very young coaches, Juan Fernando 39, Gerard Noose 35. Would love to know what shampoo Noose uses. It's a very good hairdo that he has, and obviously looking forward to watching Noose's post-match conference again. I can't wait for him to be pumped up again and say, my boys made me proud. I can't wait for him to say that again. But yeah, just coming to these two guys, very unfortunate that Fernando's just got 1 point from 6. Because the teams played well, right? Let's give credit where it's due. The teams played well. Are very unfortunate to go down to 10 men last match, but they showed glimpses even in the second half, right? They came out swinging. They didn't sit down and pack the hatches. I think Fernando told them, go for it in the first 20 minutes of second half, go for it, and they did, right? They did. Uh, this is my personal opinion. They bossed Mumbai with 11. They troubled Mumbai even with 10, right? So, too knee-jerk, a reaction to say, oh, the team's not gelling well. I definitely think he deserves time till the end of the season because he's trying to do something way different, from what we're used to, right? He's trying to bring discipline to the team. He's trying to balance both the attack and the defense. So they've gone from, let's say, attacking for 100 under Lobera to attacking for 40. But the defense has come leaps and bounds. That is also very evident. I think you've seen Ivan, who's been putting in shifts. You've seen Donachie, and Ivan Gonzalez is a beast of a defender. You're seeing that there is improvement, right? And that's essentially a coach's job, to improve players, right? You're seeing that even the Indians at the core are improving. So I definitely think give him time, right? With Northeast, it's not going to be easy again. Like again, he's coming up against one of the league's best organized sides, like he did against Bengaluru. So what will happen? Nobody knows. But yeah, he'll be under pressure to win. That finally might spark, a change in formation, because you again saw Ortiz being dropped for a second. Yeah, so you might see Goa put out a very attacking lineup. You again might see Noose go back to what he tried in the first match against Mumbai City, cut off all passing lanes. Sit deep with 2 banks of 4. Might do that. Then the other match that you spoke about, Mumbai City, again, they haven't been there themselves in the first 2 outings. Right? They haven't really, what do you say, set the stage on fire like a lot of people expected them to. I think that'll also play on his mind. Obviously, they'll be happy to get the monkey off the back. They'll be happy to get those 3 points, right? Irrespective of however it came. But they really haven't, shown us why they're favorites, right? They've been, patchy. They've what do you say? They've come through games, not really, what do you say, dominating it. More, more of static passing. So it's very interesting to see how Boomus does, because Boomus hasn't been himself again. Adam Lefondre shifted central. I think that was coming, right? I think that's something we're going to see throughout the season. And honestly, Lefondre is a great player. So it makes sense to put him centrally. Yeah, I mean, Mumbai City versus East Bengal again might be a little too early for East Bengal, but we're seeing flashes from them, right? We saw that Magoma and Pilkington with some more time, and bear in mind that it's only been like 3 weeks since I took to the field, 2 weeks. So they're going to take, 2-3 more weeks, maybe 3-4 more games to come good. But when they do, especially these two are going to be fantastic players. I feel this is just my gut feeling, right? They're going to do well. They're going to attack teams, and yeah, I feel that Mumbai City versus East Bengal could be the clash of two teams who are not yet there, but could take off potentially soon.
So let's hope that we look forward to a great week, and we look forward to great matches coming up in this week, starting with these two games and then going ahead. In the next episode, that will probably we'll see you by the end of this week. That is, we'll have a special one talking about the IFS Shield. So don't miss out on that one, which starts on 6th December, which kind of acts as a precursor and a preseason for the I League teams. So we look at that and much more. And just as I mentioned, since there are matches every day, we won't be able to talk about all the games in detail, but we will definitely pick and choose and whichever we can speak. But we'll definitely look at going ahead. We look at some themes. We look at some topical stuff to talk about. It could be clubs, it could be players, it could be a coach. So watch out for that. Interesting episodes coming ahead, and we can expect and probably expect the same from the ISL season. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And while before we end, I wish the best of luck to Sayak, who's preparing for his exams. Because of that, he won't be able to join our episode. So best wishes, Sayak. Hope you do well in your exams. And that's all, guys. Follow us and subscribe to us on Spotify. We are now, and today I'm sure of where we are available. We are available on Google Podcast and also on Pocket Cast. Hopefully, we will soon be available on Apple as well. But we are always on Spotify. And if you're a person who does not like any of these audio platforms, then we've got you covered. We have the humble, very old YouTube channel. That's Humans of Indian Football YouTube channel. Go on there and you can have listen to our episodes there as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Hope you enjoy this episode. We wish you very well for the week, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is episode number 3 of the Totally Indian Football Show, and I'm your host, Siju. Thank you so much.